Good morning, students. How are you? I think all are fine. So take care of your health. Yeah. So say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students. So take your social science book and come to page number 40. Today we will come back to history. So I think we have seen history so long days before. So after completing third lesson in history, we move to geography, economics and civics. So it has been a long time. So we discussed history. So again we come back to history. So unit 4, the world after World War II. So the events happened in the world after World War II. So in previous lesson we discussed about the World War II. So it was started in the year 1939 and ended in the year 1945. Then after that we discussed about the organizations formed after the World War II. That is United Nations Organization and also the World Bank. In this lesson, we discuss about the events. So the important events happened in the world after World War II. So the main event was the world was divided into two blocks. That is communist and non-communist. So two major powers emerged after World War II. One is Russia and another one is America. That is United States of America. So they involved in a war that was called as Cold War. That means Russian government. So they tried to establish a communist form of government in some countries. At the same time, America. So they opposed communist type of government and tried to make their influence on those countries. It resulted in a war that was called as Cold War. And apart from that, there are some issues between various countries. So some countries are divided, so partitioned. So that result in problem between those countries also. So what are the problem between those countries? So the main issue is the communist and the non-communist countries. That is communist and capitalist countries. So the war fought between those countries. And also finally we discuss about the end of Cold War era. So what was the reasons for the Cold War? Then what are the military alliances formed between these countries, that is communist and non-communist countries, and finally about the end of Cold War era. So you will learn about in this lesson. So the important events happened after World War II. So the world after World War II. Learning objectives. So what are we going to learn from this lesson? First, to acquaint ourselves with, that is to become familiar with the communist revolution in China. In China, so communist government is there. So communist form of government is there. That is uniparty system. Only one political party is there. That is Communist Party. So the communist revolution in China. Then Cold War and the non-aligned movement. So what do you mean by Cold War? And also what is the non-aligned movement? So Cold War fought between the two superpowers, America and Russia. So non-aligned movement. So it was the idea of our Prime Minister Nehru. So the countries who want to remain neutral, that is the countries which did not support America or Russia, so they were considers so they formed the non-aligned movement. Then Korean War and the Cuban Missile Crisis. So Korean War. So Korea was divided into two, North Korea and South Korea. So what was the problem between the Korean countries? So North Korea, South Korea. Then Cuban Missile Crisis. So Cuba, a small island country located near to United States of America, but it is a communist country. So what is the Cuban Missile Crisis? Then Arab-Israel War and Vietnam War. So they are located in Asia. Arab-Israel, it is the West Asian countries. Then Vietnam, it is located in the southeast, that is south of China. So what was the problem? So what was the reason for the Arab-Israel War? Then the Vietnam War. European Economic Community and European Union. So European countries formed into an union. So European Union. So now till now European Union is there. So what is the European Union. Then fall of Berlin Wall and the end of Cold War era. So Germany, at the end of Second World War, it was divided into two, East Germany and West Germany. So West Germany was occupied by America and allied countries and her friend countries. Then East Germany, it was occupied by Russia, so communist Russia. So Germany was divided into two. So their capital city, so in the center of the capital city, a wall was constructed by the Russian communist government. Why they constructed the Berlin Wall? So what was the reason and how the people demolished the Berlin Wall? And also finally you learn about the end of Cold War era. That is how the Cold War came to an end and the disintegration of Russian communist country. You will learn these things in this lesson. So to acquaint ourselves with the communist revolution in China, Cold War and the non-aligned movement, Korean War and the Cuban Missile Crisis, Arab-Israel War and Vietnam War, European Economic Community and European Union, fall of Berlin Wall and the end of Cold War era. So communist revolution in China, Cold War, non-aligned movement, then Korean War and the Cuban Missile Crisis, Arab-Israel War and Vietnam War, European Economic Community and European Union, then fall of Berlin Wall and the end of Cold War era. So these are the things you are going to learn in this lesson. In today's class, we will learn about the communist revolution in China. So how the communist government was formed in China. Introduction. In the aftermath of the Second World War, a new era began. So after the Second World War, a new period, a new era began. It was the beginning of the decline of European colonial empires and the independence of colonies in Asia and Africa. So because of the Second World War, European countries became weak. Economically, they became very weak. So they were worst affected because the main event took place in European countries only. So they invested a large amount. So they were worstly affected. So their economy and also their infrastructure were worstly affected. So they gave independence to their colonial countries, that is in Asia and Africa. Then if the effects of World War I led to the communist revolution of Russia, means the Second World War played a big part in the communist revolution in China. So during World War I, so the events, so the effects led to the formation of communist government in Russia. The Second World War events, the Second World War effects result in the communist revolution in China. So the World War I effects led to the communist revolution of Russia. The Second World War effects led to the communist revolution in China. Then the emergence of the US and the USSR as superpowers resulted in the division of the world into two antagonistic, that is two opposite blocks. A Cold War. So Cold War situation triggered deadly conflict in Korea, Cuba, Vietnam and West Asia. So after World War II, a new era began. European countries became weak and they gave independence to their colonial countries in Asia and Africa. Then World War I, the effects of World War I led to the communist revolution in Russia, and the effects of World War II result in the communist revolution in China. So World War I, communism in Russia. World War II, communism in China. Then the emergence of America and Russia as the two superpowers resulted in the division of world into two opposite blocks. Then a Cold War. So Cold War between America and Russia triggered deadly conflict in Korea, Cuba, Vietnam and West Asia. So both these countries, America and Russia, so wanted to extend their influence in these countries, that is in Korea, Cuba, Vietnam and West Asia. So that result in the internal war. So that result in the internal disturbance in these countries. As a result, in Korea, it was divided into two countries, North Korea and South Korea. North Korea, so communist government was established in South Korea. So Americans supported the capitalist country government was established in Cuba. So Cuba, an island country located just near to America. But in Cuba, communist country was established. So communist government was established. Then Vietnam. So Vietnam, it is located in southeast of Asia. So in 9th standard, you learned about Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. So can you remember that lesson? So Vietnam. In Vietnam, how the communist government was established. So who founded the communist government in Vietnam? So we will learn in this lesson. Then West Asia. So West Asia means it includes the Arab-Israel war. So you will learn about these things in this lesson. So after the Second World War, a new era began. So it was the beginning of the decline of European colonial empires and the independence of colonies in Asia and Africa. Then, so the effects of World War I led to the Communist Revolution of Russia. The Second World War played a big part in the Communist Revolution in China. Then, the emergence of the America and Russia as the superpowers resulted in the division of the world into two antagonistic blocs. A Cold War situation triggered deadly conflict in Korea, Cuba, Vietnam, and West Asia. So, under the Marshall Plan for reconstruction of the war-ravaged Europe, the US won the trust of the great powers in Europe. Under the Marshall Plan, the worst affected country of Second World War was the European countries. So the European countries are worstly affected by the Second World War. So America. So what that it means under the Marshall Plan. So they gave aid and support to the European countries to become normal again. So the US won the trust of the great powers in Europe. So under the Marshall Plan for the reconstruction of the war-affected Europe, the US won the trust of the great powers in Europe. Then Soviet Russia, by demonstrating solidarity with the liberation struggle of countries in Asia and Africa, earned the goodwill of the latter. But Russia, what that it means? So they gave support to the liberation struggle, freedom struggle in the countries of Asia and Africa. So they earn a good name, so goodwill from these countries, Asian and African countries. While America under Marshall Plan so gave help and support to the European countries to become normal. So because they were worstly affected by the Second World War. So to build the infrastructure, so they gave aid, so they gave support to these European countries under Marshall Plan. So America won good name from the European superpowers, that is especially from the Western powers, that is America, France, like these countries. But Russia, so what they did means they gave support to the freedom struggle in Asia and African countries and earned a good name from these countries. So now Asian countries, they have good name with the communist government, that is with Russia, and Western European countries. So that is most of the European countries, they have good name with America because America supported them under Marshall Plan. The non-aligned movement played a limited role in containing the conflict between the two superpowers. So the non-aligned movement played a limited role. So played a very limited role in containing the conflict. So in reducing the conflict between the two power blocks. In a bid to wriggle out. In a bid to wriggle out means avoid. So avoid of US control. European countries started the European movement in the form of Council of Europe. So under Marshall Plan, America is helping in reconstruction of war-ravaged Europe. But in order to avoid US control, so slowly America, what they did means they try to establish their power. So they try to establish their supremacy in Europe. In order to avoid this power, in order to avoid US control, European countries started the European movement in the form of Council of Europe. This developed into the European Common Market and finally into what is today called the European Union. So the European Council, how it was changed to European Union. Then the Cold War period ended with the fall of Berlin Wall. So the Cold War ended with the fall of Berlin Wall. So Berlin, it is the capital city of Germany. So how the wall of Berlin demolished. So you will learn in this lesson. So introduction, the Second World War. After the Second World War, a new era began. So European colonial powers became weak and they gave independence to colonies of Asia and Africa. So communist government formed in China. Then America and Russia. So the countries emerged as the two superpowers. So what was the problem between America and Russia? So how they make their influence? Then under the Marshall Plan, so reconstruction of war-ravaged Europe, the America won the trust of the great powers in Europe. At the same time, Russia, by supporting the independent movement in Asia and Africa, earned the goodwill from these countries. Then the non-aligned movement played a limited role in containing the conflict between the two superpowers. In order to avoid the US control, European countries started the European movement in the form of Council of Europe, which finally led to the formation of European Union. Then the Cold War period ended with the fall of Berlin Wall. Chinese Revolution. So China in the pre-war period. China in the pre-war period, that is World War I, World War II period. In its long history, Chinese civilization was more advanced than that of Europe. In its long history, Chinese civilization was more advanced than that of Europe. You have learned about the Chinese civilization in your 9th standard. So the ancient civilization. So Indus Valley, then Nile Valley, Mesopotamian, then Chinese civilization. So you have learned, no? Yeah. So the Chinese civilization was more advanced than that of Europe. But by the end of 19th century, its progress had halted. But by the end of 19th century, its development progress had stopped. So China was ruled by a dynasty called as Manchu dynasty. So the Manchu dynasty ruling China since about 1650. The Manchus ruling dynasty had governed China since about 1650. The entire administration system was in the hands of a bureaucracy of scholar officials called mandarins. So the entire administration system, the whole administration was in the hands of a bureaucracy. So bureaucracy means a system of government in which most of the important decisions are taken by state of officials rather than by elected representatives. That is a system of government in which most of the decisions are taken by the government officials, not by the elected representatives. So the entire administrative system of Manchu dynasty was in the hands of bureaucracy of scholar officials called mandarins. So they came from the landed gentry. So gentry means, what do you mean by landed gentry? So gentry means people of good social position, specifically the class of people next below the nobility in position or birth. So people of good social position. So that is the mandarin. So the people who are in good social position. So they control the entire administrative system. Okay, so the remaining mass, the remaining people were the peasant population. So they were poverty stricken. So they were vastly affected with the poverty. Then suffered from high rent, high taxes and shortage of land. So if you take the entire administrative system, it was with the high class people called as mandarin. So the entire administrative system was with the high class people called as mandarin. So the mass of the population were peasant who were suffered with poverty, high taxes, high rent and shortage of land. There was very little industry. So though some railways and engineering works had been built. So China, so there is no industrial revolution took place in China. So very little industries are there. And some railways and engineering works had been built. So apart from that, so most of the people following agriculture. So agrarian economy is there. So the people are suffering a lot. So before the World War period, so China were worst affected. So China were worstly affected. So because of the administrative system, because it was in the hands of bureaucracy of scholar officials, so called mandarins. So most of the peasant population were poverty stricken. Then they are suffered from high rent, high taxes and shortage of land. So discontent, so dissatisfied with the political and economic system resulted in a number of peasant uprisings. So the people were dissatisfied with the political and economic system. So they revolted against the ruling dynasty. So one of the major rebellion was the Taiping Rebellion, which took place between the year 1850 to 1864. So discontent with the political and economic system resulted in a number of peasant uprisings. So the small farmers, so peasant means so farmers, so those who have very low area of land, so they involved in rebellion. So they rise against the government, the ruling dynasty. So the one major rebellion was the Taiping Rebellion, so which took place between the year 1850 to 1864. In the two opium wars of 1832 and 1848. So opium, a drug. So in order to deal with the opium drug, the European powers had a war with the Chinese government. So that is called as opium war. So in order to deal with the opium drug, so the European powers had fought with China, so in the year 1832 and 1848. In both these opium wars, China was defeated and she was compelled to open its ports to the Western powers. So in the opium wars, China was defeated. So she was compelled to open its port to the Western powers. So this opening of China to Western imperialism led to the economic exploitation and impoverishment of the Chinese people. So because of the opening of the Chinese port to Western imperialism, it resulted in the economic exploitation and also the impoverishment. So impoverishment means became very poor. So the process of becoming very poor. Already Chinese economy was worst affected. So if they allow the Western countries to enter means, then it further make the process. So the poor process very worst. Okay, so China was in the situation of the rebellion. So the European presence produced a profound hatred of foreigners. So profound means very great. So hatred means hate. So the European presence produced a very great hate of foreigners. That is the Chinese. They hate the foreigners. So they hate the presence of Europe. So this combined with the military defeat. So already they are hating the presence of foreigners. And because of the defeat in the Opium Wars, so they pressed the demand. So they pressed their demand for the reforms from the Western educated intellectuals. So the Chinese already defeated by the European powers in the Opium War. Already the Europeans were present in Chinese territory in a particular amount, so in a particular number. So this was not liked by the Western intellectual thinkers. So what they did means, so they demand for the reforms. So in 1898, the young emperor initiated a series of reforms known as the 100 Days of Reforms. So in 1898, the young emperor, the Chinese emperor, initiated, motivated a series of reforms known as the 100 Days of Reforms. But these reforms aroused tremendous opposition from the powerful conservatives and the Dowager Empress Zhu Xi. So though the young emperor initiated a series of reforms, this was opposed. So this was very greatly opposed by the powerful conservatives and also the Dowager Empress Zhu Xi. So emperor, he was very young age. Empress, the queen, she opposed the reforms. So she imprisoned the emperor and reversed the reforms. Though the young emperor initiated a series of reforms, it was opposed by the powerful conservatives and also the empress Zhu Xi. So she imprisoned the emperor and reversed. That means she got back the reforms. So China was ruled by Manchu dynasty since 1650. So the entire administrative system was in the hands of the higher class officials called as mandarins. So the mass of the peasants were suffered with poverty and also with high rent, high taxes and shortage of land, and there is no industry. So there is only very little industry. And also because of this political and economic system, so the people were dissatisfied and they involved in number of uprisings, and they involved in the number of peasant uprisings. So one of the major one was the Taiping Rebellion. And also in the two Opium War, so China was defeated by the European powers. So China was forced to open its port towns for the foreigners. So this presence of foreigners and also the military defeat. So the China's military defeat was not liked by the Western educated intellectuals. So what they thought means, so they forced the government to take some reforms. So the young emperor initiated a number of reforms which was known as 100 Days reforms. But this was opposed by the conservative people and also by the Empress Zhu Xi. So what she did means, she put the young emperor in the prison and got back, that is, and reversed the reforms. So the Chinese Revolution of 1911. So the disintegration of the Manchu dynasty began with the death of Dowager Empress in 1908. So the Dowager Empress Zhu Xi, she died in the year 1908. So after that, the Manchu dynasty began to disintegrate. So the new emperor was 2-year-old. So the newly came emperor. So the newly throned emperor was 2 years old, and the provincial governors began to assert their independence. So because the new emperor was just a kid, so just a baby, the provincial governors, so they began to declare their independence. In October 1911, the local army mutinied and the revolt spread. So in 1911 October, the local army mutinied and the revolt spread. So the provincial governors removed the Manchu garrisons. So China was divided into various provinces. So each provinces a governor was appointed under the leadership of Manju dynasty. So there were some garrisons. So garrisons means a group of troops stationed in a fortress or a town to defend it. So in each provinces there was Manju troops. So the provincial governors removed these Manju troops, Manju garrisons, and proclaimed their independence. So after the death of Davagar Empress in 1908, the Manju dynasty began to disintegrate. The new emperor was 2 years old. So the provincial governors began to declare their independence. So in October 1911, the local army mutinied and the revolt spread. So in provincial governor, so they removed the Manju garrisons and proclaimed their independence. Already there were middle class leaders. So Dr. Sun Yat-sen was one among them. Yes, already there were few middle class leaders. So one among them was Dr. Sun Yat-sen. On hearing the news of the rising in a newspaper in the United States, Sun Yat-sen arrived in Shanghai and was immediately elected provisional president of the new Chinese Republic. Yes, on hearing the news about the provincial governors' revolt in the newspaper in the United States of America, Sun Yat-sen returned back to Shanghai and he was immediately elected as the provincial president of the new Chinese Republic. Dr. Sun Yat-sen. So who was Sun Yat-sen? So he was born in a poor family near Canton. So Dr. Sun Yat-sen was born in a poor family near Canton. So Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the father of modern China, was educated in a mission school and became a Christian. So he was called as the father of modern China. He was educated in a mission school and he became a Christian. So he was then trained as a doctor of medicine in Hong Kong. So he was then trained as a doctor of medicine in Hong Kong. So evincing the interest in politics, he took part in a rising against the Manjus in 1895. So he was interested in politics. So he took part in a rising against the Manju dynasty in the year 1895. So after the Taiping Up rebellion and also the Opium Wars. So there was dissatisfaction among the people about the Chinese Manju dynasty. So there are number of revolt. So there are number of uprisings against the dynasty. In 1905, he founded in Tokyo the political party which in 1912 became the Kuomintang or the National People's Party. So in 1905, he founded in Tokyo. So Tokyo, the capital of Japan. Now the capital of Japan. He founded the political party which in 1912 became the Kuomintang or the National People's Party. Dr. Sun Yat-sen's three principles were nationalism, democracy, and people's livelihood with socialism as the ultimate object. So Dr. Sun Yat-sen's three principles, three policies were nationalism, democracy, and the people's livelihood with socialism. Yuan Shikai and after. So when Dr. Sun Yat-sen was elected as the provincial president of the new Chinese Republic, Yuan Shikai, who served as a minister in the Manju administration, had full control of the modern army in the north. So he set up a republic in China. So the unity of China under Yuan Shikai lasted for 4 years. The unity of China under Yuan Shikai lasted for 4 years. On his death in 1960, a new president was appointed for the next 12 years, but the government was central only in name. So after his death on 1916, a new president was appointed for the next 12 years, but the government was at central only in the name. Communist Party of China. With the revolution and the breakup of the old society, Confucian thought was generally sidelined, and after the Russian Revolution of 1917, the ideas of Marx and Lenin became popular among intellectuals. So with the revolution and the breakup of the old society, and the withdrawal of the old culture, Confucian thought was generally sidelined. So Confucian thought was generally sidelined, and after the Russian Revolution, so Confucian thought was generally sidelined means it lost its popular. But after the Russian Revolution of 1917, the ideas of Marx and Lenin became popular among the educated intellectuals. So the Confucian thought was became unpopular. Now the ideas of Marx and Lenin became popular. In 1918, a society for the study of Marxism was formed in Peking University. So in the year 1918, a society for the study of Marxism. So the study of Marxist philosophy was formed in Peking University. Among the students who attended the classes was Mao Zedong. So among the students who attended was Mao Zedong. So who was Mao Zedong? Mao Zedong. So Mao was born in Hunan in southeast China. So Mao was born in Hunan in southeast China. His father was a wealthy peasant and a firm supporter of the Manchus. So Mao Zedong's father was a wealthy peasant. So he was a rich person and he was a strong supporter of the Manchu dynasty. Mao, who was very fond of reading, soon showed his ability and entered the junior college at Changsha. So Mao, so he was very interested in studying. So he shown his ability and entered the junior college at Changshu. So this was the year 1911 when the revolution had broke out in China. So when he entered the college in the year 1911, the Chinese Revolution. So 1911 Chinese Revolution broke out. Mao joined the Revolutionary Army, but soon left and enrolled in the Teachers Training College in Changsha. So Mao joined the revolutionary movement in the year 1911, but he soon left the army and enrolled and joined the Teachers Training College in Changsha. In the following year, Mao began his full-fledged political activities of Hunan and emerged as a staunch communist, that is strong supporter of communist. So in the following year, he fully involved in political activities in Hunan region and he emerged as a staunch communist. Kuomintang and Chiang Kai-shek. So after the death of Sun Yat-sen, the Kuomintang party came under the control of Chiang Kai-shek. So after the death of Sun Yat-sen, the leader of the Kuomintang was Chiang Kai-shek. So the Communist Party was under Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai. So after the death of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the leader of the Kuomintang was the Chiang Kai-shek. So while the Communist Party was under Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai. As an avowed critic of communist, Chiang removed all of them from important positions in the party. So Chiang Kai-shek, so he was the hater of communist. So he didn't like the communist. So he strongly opposed the communism policy. So Chiang Kai-shek, so the leader of Kuomintang party, removed all the communists from the important positions in the Kuomintang party. So the communists increased their influence among the workers and the peasants and obtained recruits for their army. But the communists, what they did means, they increased their influence among the workers and the peasants and obtained their recruits for their army. So they increased the army strength by giving chance, so by appointing the workers and peasants in their army. So the Kuomintang party represented the interest of the landlord and the capitalist. So if you take the Kuomintang party, it consists of the liberal people, the democratic people and also the communist people. So the leader of the communist were Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai. So the leader of the landlords and capitalists was Chiang Kai-shek. Since the party leader was the Kuomintang party leader was Chiang Kai-shek, he removed all the communists from the important positions in the party. So the communists, what they did means, they increased their influence among the workers and the peasants and increased their military strength. Okay, ma? But Chiang Kai-shek, so he represented, so he got the support of the landlord and capitalist. In 1928, he was successful in capturing Peking. Once again, there was a central government in China. In 1928, Chiang Kai-shek was successful in capturing Peking, and again there was a central government in China. So after the death of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the Kuomintang party was led by Chiang Kai-shek, while the communists were led by Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai. Since Chiang Kai-shek opposed the communist policy, he removed all of the communists from the important positions in the party. He was supported by the landlords and the capitalists. But the communists, so what they did means, they increased their strength. So by giving chance to the workers and the peasants in their army. But the support by the Chiang Kai-shek so helped him to capture the Peking city, the capital of the Manchu dynasty, in the year 1928. So there was a central government in China. Mao as organizer of peasants. Mao now understood that the Kuomintang grip on the towns was very strong because in the town you can see the capitalists and the landlords. So the peasants mostly in the rural areas only. So Mao had understood that the Kuomintang party was strong in the towns. So he concentrated his energies on organizing the peasantry. So Mao, what he did means, he concentrated his energy on organizing the peasantry a few hundred communists led by Mao retreated into the wild mountains. So a few hundred communists, so led by Mao retreated. So that is enter into the wild mountain region. Here they stayed for the next 7 years. So in the wild mountains, Mao led by along with a few hundred communists stayed in the wild mountain regions for next 7 years. As the army of Mao was gradually growing, the Kuomintang was unable to penetrate the mountains. Since Mao's army was gradually slowly growing, the Kuomintang was unable to penetrate, so enter into the wild mountain region. So the campaign against the communists was distracted as Chiang Kai-shek had to deal with the constant threat from Japan and also attacks from the warlords. So why Chiang Kai-shek cannot able to face communist means because he had to deal with a major problem. So he had to deal with two major problems. One is the threat from Japan. So Japan often threatening China, and also the internal war. So that is the warlords. So that is the lords, the capitalists, the landlords often rose against Chiang Kai-shek. So he had to face this problem. So he could not concentrate with the problem of the communists, so who were hiding themselves in the wild mountain region. Long March 1934. So Chiang Kai-shek had built a circle of fortified posts around the communist position. Mao wanted to move out of Hunan for safer territory. So Chiang Kai-shek, so what he did means, even though he faced some of the threat, so constant threat from Japan and attacks from warlords, he built a circle of fort around the communist position who were in the wild mountain region. So Mao wanted to move a safer zone, so safer territory, Hunan. So by 1933, Mao had gained full control of the Chinese Communist Party. So in the year 1933, Mao now became the leader of the Chinese Communist Party and he had full control. In 1934, the Communist army of about 100,000, that is 1 lakh, set out on the long march. In 1934, the Communist army of about 100,000 set out on the long march. This march has become legendary. So this march has become legendary. Of the 100,000 who set out, only 20,000 finally reached the northern Sheni. So of the 100,000 who started the long march in the year 1934, only 20,000 finally reached the northern Sheni. So you can see in this map. So they start from the eastern part of the coastal region and they traveled nearly 6,000 miles and reached the northern Sheni in the year 1935. So they were soon joined by the other communist armies. So in the beginning, 100,000 soldiers, so 100,000 army men from Communist Party started the march. So they finally only 20,000 reached the northern Sheni in the year 1935. After crossing 6,000 miles, they were soon joined by the other communist army. By 1937, Mao now became the leader of over 10 million people. So by 1937, Mao had become the leader of over 10 million people. Japanese aggression. So during this time, so Japan, what they did means they often attack China. So Japan continued to occupy North Chinese provinces while developing Manchuria as a military base. So Manchuria, which is located in north of China. So Japan continued to occupy North Chinese provinces while developing Manchuria as a military base. Mao believed that Chiang Kai-shek was necessary for some time to hold together Kuomintang to fight the Japanese. So Mao, so what he thought means, so Chiang Kai-shek was necessary for some time. So we have to give some gap. So we have to stop our revolution because Japan was attacking China from north side. So Chiang Kai-shek was necessary for some time to hold together Kuomintang party to fight the Japanese. So Kuomintang was now under the control of Chiang Kai-shek. So if Mao also fought against the Kuomintang party leader Chiang Kai-shek means, then it paved the way for Japanese to enter into China easily. So what he did means, so he stopped the communist attack. So he gradually stopped the communist attack. So as a consequence of the pragmatic policy, so this understanding policy, he stopped the attack. So the communists stopped the attack on the Kuomintang party because Japanese aggression was now in its high position. So Japanese want attacking China from its north provinces. In order to give strength to Kuomintang party, so Chiang Kai-shek, so Mao Zedong stopped his, so gradually stopped his attack. communist victory. So Japan was defeated in Second World War. So with the surrender of Japanese in 1945, both Kuomintang and the communists sought to occupy the Japanese area. So after the surrender of Japan, both Kuomintang and the communists, so they tried to occupy the Japanese area, so Japanese territory in China. In this race, the Kuomintang was successful. But in this race, the Kuomintang was successful. Why means the Kuomintang was greatly supported by the United States of America. In this race, the Kuomintang was successful. The cities and railways soon fell into their hand. Even the area around Peking was soon controlled by Chiang Kai-shek force. So the area around Peking was controlled by Chiang Kai-shek because they were largely helped by the United States of America. So largely because of the military help given by the United States of America. So with the massive support provided by the USA, Kuomintang government controlled the administration, port and communication system. So with the massive support provided by the United States of America, Kuomintang government controlled the administration, port and communication system. But the soldiers, so mainly drawn from the peasants, so were disillusioned and discontented. They were dissatisfied. They did not like it. Mao was keen on obtaining the support of the middle class. At the same time, Mao got the support of the middle class also. Already peasants, so they were supporting Mao Zedong only. Now Mao Zedong obtained the support of the middle class also. So he declared that what the communists wanted was the rule of the people. So Mao Zedong declared that the communists wanted the rule of the people, not the dictatorship of the proletariat. So proletariat means working class people. So proletariat means working class people. That means so the Chinese people wanted the rule of the working class people only, and also the end of exploitation, not absolute equality. So absolute equality means all are equal, but all are not same. All are equal. So Kuomintang, so under Chiang Kai-shek, captured power with the help of America, but the soldiers, so who were mainly drawn from peasants, they were dissatisfied. So they did not like it. So and also the middle class people, they also began to support Mao. So Mao declared that communists wanted the rule of the people and not the dictatorship of the proletariat, and also the end of exploitation. That means people wanted the communist government. Okay, ma? National People's Congress. So in September 1949, before fighting had ended in south of China, the People's Political Consultative Conference met in Peking. So in September 1949, before fighting had ended in south of China, the People Political Consultative Conference met in Peking. So consisting of over 650 delegates. So delegate means so who attend a conference from the Communist Party and other left-wing organizations. The conference elected the Central Governing Council with the Mao as its chairman. So consisting of 650 delegates from the Communist Party and other left-wing organizations, the conference elected the Central Governing Council with the Mao as its chairman. So the establishment of the People's Republic of China under the leadership of Mao Zedong was a world-shaking event. Because now there are two mighty communist powers in the world. One is the Soviet Union and another one is People's Republic of China. Since September 1949, so before the war came to an end in China, the south of China. So the war began in the north of China because the Japanese, so they tried to attack China from north provinces only. Since they were defeated in the Second World War, both Communist Party led by Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek, so the Kuomintang Party led by Chiang Kai-shek, they captured, so they began to capture the Japanese area from the northern side only. So they fought in the northern side. They war, so the fought between so Kuomintang Party and the Communist Party started in the northern region only. Though Chiang Kai-shek win most of the regions in his initial years with the support of the United States of America, the military army, so the army mostly consisted of the poor peasants only. So they turned their attention towards Mao Zedong, and because of their attention, Chiang Kai-shek so lost his region one by one to Communist Party. So in September 1949, the fight ended in the south of China. So the People Political Consultative Conference met in Peking. So they chose they elected Central Governing Council with Mao as its chairman. Yeah. So this event was an important event because there were two mighty communist party in world. So communist government in world. One is Russia and another one is China. Denial of UNO membership. So the United States refused to recognize the People's Republic of China for more than 2 decades because America supported Chiang Kai-shek. So they opposed the communist government. So they did not recognize the People's Republic of China for more than 2 decades. But they gave the support to Chiang Kai-shek. So Chiang Kai-shek, so he escaped to Formosa, so nearby country Taiwan. So now it was called as Taiwan. So he formed the government in Taiwan because of the support. So because of the pressure of the United States of America. So United States refused to recognize the People's Republic of China for more than 2 decades. Instead, the government of Chiang Kai-shek in Taiwan, so initially it was called as Formosa, was given recognition. So Taiwan was given recognition. So if you see Taiwan, it is a very small island country. It was given recognition by the United Nations because of the pressure of America. But they refused to recognize the People's Republic of China for more than 2 decades. Okay students, so today's class Chinese Revolution over. So it is a very big topic. Hope you understand. So if you have any doubt in this lesson, so just contact me. So China, as like India, had a very long history of civilization. It was ruled by Manchu dynasty. Since Manchu dynasty ruled for very long years, so its growth process stopped. And because during the time around 18th century, 19th century, so European powers influenced in the Chinese government. So this was not liked by the people and they involved in rebellion often. Okay. So there are number of parties formed. So one main party was Kuomintang party, and the Kuomintang party was consist of the two class. One is capitalist and landlord class supported Chiang Kai-shek, and another one, so communist, so they supported Mao Zedong. So often they fought with each other, and finally Mao Zedong emerged as the leader of the Communist Party, and he first established the communist government in China. So this is the simple topic we seen. So if you have any doubt in this, contact me. So take your book, so textbook reading. Take page number 40. Chinese Revolution. So China in the pre-war period. So read that heading. Then homework. Take page number 52. Roman letter 5. So sand question. So the long march. So take page number 43. Long march 1934. So put the heading and write the year. In that sixth line, in 1934, the Communist army of about 100,000 set out on the long march. This march has become legendary. Of the 100,000 who set out, only 20,000 finally reached the northern Chennai late in 1935 after crossing near 6,000 miles. They were soon joined by the other communist armies. By 1937, Mao had become the leader of over 10 million people. This is the answer for sand question. So write it and read it well. Okay, so thank you students. Have a nice day.